Well, greetings yet again, NASCAR enjoyers, and oh boy, we got a lot to unpack here because today was the YellaWood 500 at Talladega. And it was crazy to say the least, but I'll try to be as quick as possible because I do have another video in the works and I want to lessen the workload here. But anyways, before the race even started, we got to see Ryan Preece show up in a car that is reminiscent of Ricky Bobby's car at Talladega Nights. Yeah, he wanted to race in a car that looked a lot like Ricky Bobby's car in Talladega Nights and even have the Wonder Bread paint scheme. Well, the car that he raced in before he raced the Me car, if you have seen the movie. I bet a lot of you had, since it is the GOAT of all NASCAR movies. But anyways, he didn't just show up with a car looking a lot like Ricky Bobby's car, but also he showed up with a windshield sticker that looks a lot like the Fig Newton's windshield sticker in the movie. Yeah, he sold his windshield. Yeah, no, it's not a Fig Newton sponsorship. Well, it's Stuart Haas, but it's still in the font of the Fig Newton's logo. Yeah, he sold his sponsorship. He sold his windshield. So yeah, it was pretty crazy, even before the race went down. But anyways, in the first stage, there was definitely a lot of pack racing action. And of course, it was a battle between Chase Elliott and Prosper Texas, aka Chris Buescher. And of course, in the first stage, we would get our first caution. And of course, Daniel Suarez had to exit out of pit road because he had to take the pass for penalty. But guess who he ended up in with? Yep, BJ McLeod. He ended up with BJ McLeod and of course veered his car out of control and caused the first caution of the day. Luckily his car was intact, but it will be a sign of things to come. So yeah, we would get our first caution of the day, and of course, for a brief time, BJ McLeod was one of the leaders of the race until he decided to make a pit stop. So he's basically out of the lead. Well, he's not one of those leading drivers anyways, but the race restarted, and of course, in the first stage, Prosper Texas, aka Chris Buescher, ended up winning. But he didn't win the race though, he just won the first stage. And of course in the first stage we would get our first post-stage pit stop, and of course Kyle Busch won the race in pit road because a lot of people are wanting Kyle Busch to win. I mean, they're basically rooting for Kyle Busch. So yeah, he basically leads the race because he is the race winner in pit road. Well, he won the race in pit road, so the second stage comes underway. And of course, there's not much to elaborate here. There's no cautions. But Austin Cindric won the second stage. And then, of course, a wreck happens in the second stage. And guess who gets involved in it? Ryan Blaney and Ross Chastain. Yeah, the camo car. He got involved in the second stage wreck that happened. Yeah. Luckily, the wreck happened right after the stage caution. Yeah, right after the stage already ended, so it was basically devastating for Ross Chastain, and it was a shame because, well, he won the last race. Well, he won last week's race at Kansas, and it brought out one of the best victories in 2024. But his day was sadly not to be, as he had a wrecked race car and didn't even come close to winning, as he pretty much DNF'd. But that's not the worst wreck of the YellaWood 500. We're gonna get to that right away. So yeah, the third stage comes underway, the third and final stage, and we would have an intense pack racing battle. Yeah, I don't get why some people don't like pack racing. It's exciting. It makes super speedway racing more exciting, because if it isn't pack racing, it isn't super speedway racing. At least that's how I look at it. Yeah, super speedway racing isn't fun without the pack. And it certainly isn't fun without the big one. So yeah, the big one finally happens. And oh man, 28 cars got involved. And that also includes the 41 of Ryan Preece. Yep. He's not going to Victory Lane today, sadly. But who went to Victory Lane was a surprise to behold, because it wasn't even Kyle Busch who won. But it was someone who was an underdog and also won last year's Daytona 500. You're gonna see who won the race. So yeah, once the big one was cleaned up, and once the red flag the red flag caution ended, it then went back to yellow, and of course, once the race restarted, we got our choose, and we got a couple laps to go, and of course, well, you know, all hell breaks loose. I'm not saying that there's caution after caution, but all hell breaks loose as there is a battle between Brad Keselowski and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Yeah, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was not the expected winner of Talladega. He was not expected to win this race at all. And I also like to give props to Kyle Larson for avoiding the wreck, and Denny Hamlin as well. But that is if you want to see Denny Hamlin win the championship. Yeah, another guy who got involved in the big one is Joey Logano, and pretty much the other two Penske cars got involved, and pretty much their playoff hopes gone down the drain. And Austin Cindric, he was looking to be a good competitor at Talladega, but was not to be, as he got involved in the big one. And Ryan Blaney also got involved in the end of stage 2 at that, well, wreck. So yeah, all three Penske cars were pretty much taken out in this one race. But anyways, and of course, the Wood brothers entry, Harrison Burton, also got taken out. Because some people count Wood brothers as an extra Penske entry. But anyways, the overtime restart comes underway, and we would get an intense battle that is reminiscent of Kansas, but is much better in my opinion. Yeah, it's much more exciting than the Kansas finish, because we got to see a finish that is reminiscent of the Atlanta race, but even better. At least in my opinion. Well, it's just as good as the Atlanta race. The Atlanta race is pretty much a 10 out of 10 since Daniel Suarez had a close finish. But in the final lap, we would get a battle between Brad Keselowski, William Byron, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the unlikely winner of Talladega. People were expecting Kyle Busch to win, not the car that Kyle Busch wrecked out in the All-Star race. But anyways, it was a close finish, but once they crossed the line, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won. And he won his second super speedway race, by the way. His first was last year's Daytona 500. So yeah, he finally completed the puzzle of super speedway races. Well, at least the biggest super speedway tracks. Atlanta was basically an intermediate track turned into a super speedway. But anyways, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. took a win at one of the craziest races of the year, and had an overtime caution after a big one was caused, and pretty much defied all the odds and ended up taking the W at Talladega. One of the closest and most exciting finishes in NASCAR history happened at Talladega. So yeah, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won by a close margin. And it was amazing. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. proved himself to be the absolute underdog. Keep in mind, he's not like Kyle Busch at all. Kyle Busch has won 2 championships, whereas Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won 0 championships, but he's proven himself to be the underdog. Well, at least one of the underdogs in the next-gen era, alongside Ross Chastain and several others. So yeah, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the YellaWood 500 at Talladega in a spectacular way. It was a close finish, and that's why it's getting a 10 out of 10. Or a 9.5 out of 10 in the decimal counter. Yeah, it might even be better than the Kansas race, but I still like the Kansas race equally because Ross Chastain pulled off an amazing win. As did Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at Talladega. He's not part of the playoff picture, but what he did was absolutely amazing. And he's not one to win a race. Keep in mind, the odds are stacked against Ricky Stenhouse Jr. JTG Daugherty Racing doesn't operate on a big budget like the other big teams like Hendrick or Penske or Joe Gibbs Racing. And JTG Daugherty Racing only has one charter. They are the only true single charter team. Well, Wood Brothers is basically an extra Penske team. But still, JTG Daugherty Racing doesn't have the budget of the big teams. They're operating on a shoestring budget like Tyrrell. Yeah, that's a Formula One racing team. But what they did was win. And they won in a spectacular way. So yeah, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won. And if you like that race, well, why not go ahead and check out another 10 out of 10 race at Kansas. Link is here. And you know the drill by now. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on the latest Racer Civic Productions videos. Although to people who already subscribed to my channel, all you have to do is like and comment. But anyways, this is the Bandito signing off, and all I have to say is catch you guys next time. Peace out. I need a vacation from such a spectacular race.